Hey, welcome to another video in this series of features for Radials. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can reorder the different slots for your brushes or custom shortcuts. So it's going to be a pretty quick video, but it's very, very handy. So if I press the Alt-A, I have a custom menu here that we've set up in previous videos of this series. But you see, it's a little bit messy in the sense that I have these 3 spaces empty. So what I want to do is tidying things up a little bit and maybe add a few more and rearrange it, because I already built a bit of a muscle memory. And I know if I want to access my damp standard brush or any of my cutter brushes, I will go towards the left. So I want to move this in here. So that's basically what I want to show you, because it is very simple, but might not be as straightforward as you think. So, and I'll explain why in a second. So let's go into the Radials app, and I'm going to select my basic brushes, which is the one that I just showed you. I'm going to edit that. And this is the one that we've set up. Now, all of these spaces or slots, they have numbers. So the one at the top, it starts with 1, followed by 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you see the ones that are empty, say slot 4, 5, and 7, right? So the way that you rearrange any of these is by changing the number of the slot, basically, or the placement. So if you click on the damp standard brush, which is the one that I want to change, you'll see these icons here at the top right of the brush settings. So this is going counterclockwise, and this is clockwise. So what I want to do is take the number 8, that's slot number 8, and I want to move it back to slot 7. So counterclockwise. I'm going to click on that one, and now it's in here, and this becomes slot 8. So that is how easy it is. Again, I wanted to do a whole video dedicated on this, just because it is important to know how it's set up. But that's it. That's how you can change and rearrange them. And you can keep clicking. So let's say like this, and it goes all the way around, right? And you see how it just changes all of the setup, because what I'm actually doing is offsetting everything as I move things around. Now, if this happens to you and it becomes a little bit like, oh, I don't know what I did, and this moves too much, and now you try to take this one and move it back, and I just made a mess, right? And I had it almost ready. Because I haven't saved anything, I can click on Restore. So if I click on Restore, you'll get this little confirmation line animation. So if you don't touch anything, it doesn't do anything. But if you click to restore and then confirm again, it will restore it back to your previous save state. You can also click on reset, but that is going to reset everything to kind of like a blank canvas. It is useful if it's the first time that you're setting things up. But in this case, we're just gonna keep it simple. So just to reiterate, click on the damp standard brush, counterclockwise, now it is in there. Now there's another thing that I wanna show you is if I double click this damp standard brush, and let's add a little bit more space here so you can see. We have our children brushes, but maybe I want to also reorder them. So if I click once on the damp standard brush, which is the parent brush, I'll get access to, again, the properties of that brush. It works exactly the same way. So let's say the gear brush, I want to have that in the middle. So I'm just going to click on this arrow to put it in the middle, and now that is in there. And maybe the Geiger cutter brush, that should be at the top actually. So let's push that up and let's shuffle things around. But basically, just want to show you that you use these arrows to move things around. And when it comes to the parent brushes, you use these ones right here. All right, so I'm done with the editing, and that is good to go. And I want to have my clay brushes on the other side. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to move them to maybe here. And then I'm going to take the custom brushes, which is a nested radial menu, and I'm going to move it to the bottom. So now I know in terms of the movement, which is ultimately what you end up getting used to, it, that sort of muscle memory. I know that towards the left, I get all my cutter brushes. Towards the right, all my clay brushes. Top right, all my move brushes. Top, all my standard brushes. And then if I move down, I have access to additional shortcuts, right? Which is ultimately what I want to set up. So shortcuts, right? So now that we have reordered all the slots of Radials, we can go ahead and save. Now, before I save and close, of course, you can add more brushes to these slots, right? So that they're not empty, and that might be useful. But if you just want to keep things very clean and very simple and only work with, let's say, 4 main brushes with their children brushes and let's say an extra one, you can also change the amount of slots that you have. So I have already covered this in another video, but if you click on this one, you see how it just changes things. Let's go back in here to the brushes so we can add something else. And we can just go ahead and go back to 5, right? So 5 is exactly what I have. I have 4 custom brushes and then this one. But the problem here is that it is hiding based on the numbers of slots. So if I go back to what I had here, it starts hiding the slots based on the highest number. So in slot 8. So yeah, if I just remove one, it's going to remove that slot 8, which is fine. But if I remove another one, it's going to remove the standard brush, right? And that's not what I want. So there's an extra thing that I wanted to show you, which allows you to hide specific slots without relying on this slider. So if you want, let's set it back to 8. And let's go ahead and click on slot 8. And we're going to click on hidden. So if I click on this one, you'll see my slider goes to 7, but it actually hides the slot that I want. So let's do the same thing with 6. And let's do the same thing with 4. There we go. So now this is my menu, a lot simpler, but I think it works totally fine. So let's go ahead and save and close. Let's go into ZBrush and let's trigger it. So now we only have 5 things, 4 of which are main brushes, and each brush has its own children brush, right? And then we also have the shortcuts. So if I click on the shortcuts, it's going to trigger a menu that has just text and just a bunch of shortcuts that I have established in ZBrush. So I can click on polyframe, that sort of thing. That, by the way, we set this up in a previous video. So just wanted to show you that this is an extra way of creating radial menus. One thing I want to do, just because if you see this and you haven't seen the other video, it might look like, oh, what's the point of this? So I'm just going to go back into the editor, show you how easy this is. And this is the one that I set up. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the previous menu. So I'm going to click on slot 10, which is currently empty. And I can hide it from here. Same thing, hide it from here. So now we have 8. And we can maybe scale this up a little bit and maybe reduce the spacing. And I'm going to increase the text size. And that's it. Let's click on save. Now I can trigger my main menu. And then from here, I can access the additional shortcuts. There we go, right? So polyframe. So that's it. That's how you can rearrange and reposition or hide some of the slots in your custom radial menus. Hopefully this has been of help, and I'll see you in the next video.